So hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is the kit review of the wonderful kit made by Tamiya some years ago now about the F-16 in 1/48 scale is a CJ box. So it is the F-16 that already features the bigger air intake and the different engine, a little more powerful than the ordinary A and A plus versions. Uh, the most evident difference with the ordinary F-16A, the one also used by Italian Air Force, it is mostly in the size of the air intake and this air intake and the different in the fin here, as well as the different exhaust types. So the plane is basically always the same F-16, but I think this box from Tamiya really get the best type of model that you can find around. While inside the box in my model you will find not the ordinary standard part that you find from Tamiya, because I used this like a container box for extra part that I achieved during the years building other models of the F-16. So you can see that here I have some detail from this British company. Airways was a company active mostly between the 90s, producing very nice detail in photo etched part, maybe today a little out of date, because mostly of this model don't need it so much, so they mean this for a generic F-16 Fighting Falcon, and they feature the air intake, the rear air brakes side, sorry, plus the last final part of the afterburner set for the engine. So I don't know if these parts really fit to the Tamiya model, because surely they were meant to fit an Hasegawa model and not the Tamiya. Tamiya was the last one of the last and the best model hitting the market at the time. I think today they are maybe even betterly done by kinetic model, but I'm not so sure, because when you talk about Tamiya kit is always a matter of extreme quality and extremely high precision in the building that usually you don't find with any other Chinese company. Neither kinetic is at the level of Tamiya, in my opinion. So inside my box you will find some extra parts coming from one of the first assembly that I made of a 16 F-16 sorry, a plus version that I made some years ago right now, and this is the remaining part of the sprue coming from Hasegawa box that maybe can be used for something here like details and so on. I have no idea. They were pretty decent for the time. It was a quite basic kit. It's quite interesting because the figure of the pilot is anyway quite well reproduced. You see, Hasegawa didn't make a bad work. You also have a head that can become very easy, just an helmet placed around in the cockpit of the F-16 if you don't want to make them the last version with a different visor on the front part of the helmet, like really modern F-16 have. Here you can find also, those are the original canopy coming. Tamiya was absolutely clever and provide both the gray canopy and a completely white transparent one, depending from the one that you prefer to reproduce, because many models prefer to use this ordinary transparent one and make the tan, make their own tan version by their own, so without using the one in the box. Usually all these parts have a little nasty line in the middle of the canopy that can be a little problematic to be cleaned, but it is not this dramatic work. It's enough that you just sand it and polish in the proper way and they become perfect and completely glossy, so it is not absolutely an issue. Furthermore, you can find here the remaining part of the instruction sheet. I always keep them like a reference, for the building of any future model. Plus those were the decal that were made by a friend from Italian Kits, featuring the Italian F-16s. They are a little mistake because the number provided in black, while in the Italian planes they were provided in gray, dark gray, not black. And so it's a little off this set. I collected anyway during the year, also about the ADV Tornado down there, you see, and this next decal sheet that I have even for the same purpose, to reproduce the Italian airplanes for the Italian Air Force used by Italians, during the years. it was quite very nice printed, you know, despite, as I said, the quality of the colors of some numbers that cannot be used for an Italian F-16. I have no willing to build up an Italian F-16, mostly because they were straightly American machines with no interest in liveries at all, you know. Instead, this model that I have here will probably become, this is the decal sheet coming from Aeromaster, and they provide all the stencil, all the extra stencil for several planes, you know, it's for nearly for 4 airplanes to do the full stenciling around the aircraft, you know, that usually they are not included inside the box, plus an extra ejection seat. This is the Aces 2 ejection seat type of the F-16 that I took for a bargain price, so neither 10 euros for a couple of Aces 2, plus there should be somewhere the photo etch set if I didn't lose it, you see. Did I lose them? No, they are there. I closed it inside another extra packaging not to lose it, you know, because the box was anyway cut, you know, when you buy bargain stuff or stuff from Expos and so on, you always have to check the item because you never know what are you getting, you know. The most interesting part is probably this one, that was a decal sheet of a version that I will probably use when I will build up this model, and it is referred from to the aircraft used in Aviano Air Base, because I see this plane very often for real, you know, flying over my head when I am in Italy in vacation, and they feature really F-16C, probably of the same block. They have different type of F-16C, and it's a very common friend in my vacation to see this plane flying over my head, so I think I will go for this. They are coming from a company, Cross Delta, you see. It's anyway cartograph printing with all the name of the pilot. It's very few numbers, and build the logos with the name of the pilot over, you know. That's quite decent and really well done set, you know, absolutely suggested, you know. If you don't have already, you know, I think already the Italeri box have some, because this extra sheet cost nearly like an Italeri kit, so if you don't have it like I didn't have, go for it, otherwise search for options, you know. The same is here for another version. I collected during the years, as I said, a lot of items and stuff related to the F-16, so I will see at the end what I will choose or not. A lot of the stuff will not be used, but anyway, I collect together with the same box. This is very nice for this livery of the FC Falcon in USAF. USAF E was the USAF United States Air Force in service in Europe, you know. This was based in Germany, you know. It was a very quality sheet from super scale decal, and it's very interesting. It's anyway referred to F-16C, so always with the version with the big air intake under the cockpit, you know. I think I have 4 or 5 decal sheet for this. Tamiya made an excellent work. You see the parts feature some minor screw to fix the main body of the plane, and there is very nicely printed rivets and panel lines, you know. The mold is exceptional, you know. Tamiya make absolutely an amazing work over these models, you know. They are always really well done. Those are still the part coming from Hasegawa Falcon. This is the selection of the 3 color of the main combo livery, you know, that we will choose, because in the beginning the F-16 had a lighter gray and a slightly darker green on the upper side. I think the most recent plane have a darker green. Instead, the previous plane, like the one featured on the box art, used a little lighter one, so you have to make some test to see this is the correct federal standard for them. And after choosing a lot of clip, you know, you have to paint. Usually when I do the test of the color, I use the paint over a white piece of plastic and see the final effect when they became completely dry, you know. This is Gunze colors, and you see this is the typical gray used in the F-16. The 36-270 is the ordinary gloss light gray used by the US Air Force, so you can use this and make some test for the combo color to obtain the proper paint scheme, you know. As we've seen it before, you see the paint here of the Aviano F-16 is much darker. The design here of the decal is quite correct, you know, is not wrong, you know. The triple nickel 555 fighter squadron from Aviano. The model is absolutely suggested as one of the best ever around, in my opinion. And when completed, they are completely eye-catching. You know, the F-16 is not so easy because, you know, also the line of the nose is always tricky and problematic, because also in the Hasegawa version it is slightly unprecise, in my opinion. This is very, very particular part of the plane that have to be extremely precise when you finish it. You see how many parts and how they divided the mold. Also for further version, you know, this is meant to be for a single seater. You can also have the box of the twin seater, I think. I'm not so sure if Tamiya ever did it, but it's anyway a modification over this part, if eventually you would like to go for that modification. You know, this is the exhaust, pretty decent also to be molded in plastic, so it's not so bad at all. And that is the air intake. You see, corrected in this way is also molded in a separate way, so you will have no problem in making the internal masking, because you can keep this part just for the last assembly without messing up with the covering and so on when you go painting for the air intake. Going further, there is a lot of parts in this kit. You see, this is still an extra decal. This was the original conversion made by Italian kits to the F-16A version for the Aeronautica Militare Italiana version. You know, it was basically a fin that I didn't use it, you know, was a fin like the Dutch versions there. Hope you can see that there. That was the main difference. But as you see, look at the color. This is basically nearly, you cannot see the splinter of the color in the Italian version. This is an actual picture of an Italian plane just delivered. I think they have been dismissed more than 15 years ago right now. It was staff active until 2010, 2012, something like that, because they were anyway used machine by Americans, so they were not the new block of the plane. It was just look alike a modern F-16, but inside was an old machine, so it was not absolutely something. We had to take it for the Italian Air Force in the waiting time to arrive to get the Eurofighter, so it was just a leasing that we take from the US Air Force. And what I can guarantee you is that the quality of the mold is absolutely well done and absolutely clean and exceptional. When you work with Tamiya, it's always a pleasure because they work incredibly, incredibly well. That is the inner detail for the cockpit, printed separately, you know, so you cannot go wrong with this kit. It's really damp proof. There is no way to make a mess with it. And this is the final to sprue about the missile and the tankers for the wings and so on. The model is absolutely exceptional. You know, you have a lot of different combos and different weapon configuration for this. The original set from Hasegawa, from Tamiya, sorry, provide this type of decal. In my model, despite I didn't know it, they were already used, so that tiger on the final fin is missing in my box, but as you can see I have plenty of alternatives, so for me it's not this big issue, you know. This is the Block 50 schema, the painting schema that they show up in the instruction, so you just have to follow it. It's quite simple, you know, but the F-16 takes shape mostly when you complete the model. During the build-up it seems always like something like a work in progress, but when you arrive to the end of the model you will clearly see that the shape is absolutely taken and the model is coming to life. So you will absolutely have a perfect replica of the workhorse of the United States Air Force and many other Air Force too. You know, this is a plane that is lovely in every configuration, in every scale, and in every version that you can build, from the Israeli version to the Dutch version. They are absolutely lovely to build up. Let's see if everything fits back in the box. I think so. Always have to be careful not to damage the boxes when you place all the stuff back. So that's it. My model is this one. I don't know when I will build it up, but I have everything to make a wonderful F-16. It's not so long ago when I finished the first F-16A that I made for the US Air Force. This also will be probably, like I said, an Aviano plane. If not in the future, I will plan for another configuration, but the C is absolutely the American main fighter plane of the US Air Force, so will go for it. Thanks for watching and see you in the next.